Hello, folks. I know that several have been anxiously waiting to hear of our plans for gathering together in person. And so I just kind of want to make a little short announcement about that. Let me first of all say that we all have thoughts about this situation, and they may vary to some degree, but we have the same responsibility. And so I just want to encourage you to be praying as we continue to make decisions and further organize a plan and get ready to execute it. We're going to need cooperation, and we're going to need some laborers, and we're going to have to be specific about that labor, and we're going to have to work strictly by the guidelines and work with the recommendations that have been put out by our governor, by the Alabama Department of Public Health, by the CDC, and by the White House. And so if you kind of want to know how we're going to be proceeding when we clarify a date, which will be a couple of weeks away probably, but if you'd like to know kind of the way that we're going to be going, is we're going to have to follow these guidelines and be responsible, and that means that we choose how we behave and how we react to what we're going to have to do. It's just going to be necessary. So, we've got to, first of all, we've got to honor the Lord. And we need to seek His wisdom. And you need to pray for myself and your deacons that we'll lead in unity, and that we will ourselves work to follow the guidelines and recommendations, and that we'll be able to communicate a clear plan. And again, I can't emphasize enough how much your cooperation is going to be needed, and we are going to have to somewhat enforce this plan as we come back together. We all have our personal thoughts about this pandemic and the COVID-19 issue, but what I hope we can accomplish is that we glorify the Lord through it, and we continue to work to reach people, even through a time of continued transition. I've been pleased. The Word of God continues to go forth, and so God continues to be praised. Jesus remains exalted, and people continue to worship. And I haven't really kept up with it the last few weeks, but I know at the beginning we were looking at somewhere between 300 and 1,000 people that were attending at some point in time throughout the week in our worship services. So I'm very thankful to God for the opportunity to, in this time, reach people with the gospel of Jesus Christ and encourage them and teach them the Word of God. And I'm so thankful for your prayers and encouraged by them, and I'm grateful for those that have worked to make these services possible, to worship the Lord and to be able to present a time of worship that would honor the Lord. And so I'm thankful for all these things. But as we proceed forward, we've got to continue to take it seriously, and we've got to proceed forward again with God's help and with common sense. We've got to realize that we have to be responsible. The governor today, which is Thursday, when this is being recorded, the governor this afternoon at 2 o'clock gave the extension of the Safer at Home order, and we have not met as a deacon body as of yet because we were waiting to see what the latest decision would be in regards to the plan and path forward. But now we know that, and I just feel like we've been communicating, and I've been sharing some things as much as I possibly could, encouraging our leaders to stay informed with the guidelines and recommendations, and just be prepared to work forward as responsibly and safely and securely and as we possibly can. And of course, we want to stay focused on the reason that we worship and the reason that we gather together in the first place. And of course, that's just to spend time with the Lord and tell Him how much we love Him, and hopefully take time to learn from Him so that we can go out with His Word better equipped and ready for the opportunities that He presents to us. So, For now, at least, we're gonna have to strictly follow the social distancing guidelines, which presents an issue with our ability to seat everybody in the sanctuary. It limits us greatly to our normal full capacity, and so we're going to have to enforce these social distancing guidelines by the 6-foot rule, and we're going to have to use good hygiene, and we're going to follow the guidelines, as I said, that have been put out by each of these agencies, and encourage folks to stay home as much as possible. And we can live. We can follow these guidelines and recommendations, and we can live safely and responsibly and wisely. As it was said many times today, it's upon us as a people. And basically, they've made it the responsibility of business owners and pastors and other leaders to make sure that when there is a meeting, that we have a plan in place, that we follow what's been put forth, and we're going to do that to the best of our ability. And so we're going to encourage folks to stay home as much as possible. And as I said, if you want to know more about how we're going to proceed forward when we do begin to gather, you can read several different websites and get information and be somewhat prepared. And we will put out a more detailed plan, and we're going to continue to work on getting people in place to do what's needed to be done. It's going to be a lot of work in the weeks and probably months to come, or for the foreseeable future. Things are going to be different in many ways, but it's been different these past 2.5 months. And so, though we've never done it like this before, God has blessed it. He has shown us that we can do it. And if we seek Him, we shall find Him. If we search for Him with all of our hearts, and we can glorify Him, and we can worship Him right where we are, and we can stay connected, and we can share the gospel any way that He gives us the means to do that. And He gives us many means to do that, as I've come to find in these days. Just encourage you to continue to be responsible and be safe. And just know that I'm praying for you. The deacons are praying for you. We're praying for God's direction and protection, and for Him to give us wisdom as we proceed forward, as we work towards coming back together soon. And so just know that I love you. I'm thankful for you. I'm thankful for your faithfulness in worshiping where you are, and for your continued faithfulness to give and to reach out and minister to our congregation and those beyond. And hopefully soon we'll be able to celebrate and share and just rejoice, just shout out how thankful we are to God that He's with us, and that He's never left us nor forsaken us, that He has been true to His promises, and we can just be assured that He always will be. And so from this point, we'll be working to put things out through email and personal communications and other ways. And so just be looking for that. Just don't be so anxious. Just know that we're going to do the best we can to continue to serve and worship the Lord, and to keep us safe as we move forward. Thank you for your time. God bless.